Before you watch any rugby test that's going to be played in Wellington in New Zealand, you need to check out the weather, because that's going to have a big determination on the game. And I'm pleased to report that we're going to get a partly cloudy evening in Wellington with a top temperature of around 5 degrees Celsius for the game between New Zealand and Argentina, the second game in this year's Rugby Championship competition. And in this video, I'm going to give you my preview for that game. G'day everyone, and welcome to Inside Rugby with Mark. If you haven't been here before, my name is Mark. I'm a Kiwi bloke who's living here in beautiful Cancun in Mexico, and I'm a big rugby fan, and that's why I make videos about rugby. As you watch this video, I love reading your comments and your thoughts. I'm no expert on the game of rugby. I'm just a rugby fan, probably like you, and my predictions sometimes are very, very wrong. So I'd like to hear from you on what you think about the topics that we discuss in these videos. Now today I'm going to be talking about the All Blacks game against Argentina, their first round game in this year's Rugby Championship. It's being played in Wellington in New Zealand, in the stadium known as the Cake Tin. Yes, and you'll see on television why they call that if you haven't seen it before. Now it's going to be a cold and chilly winter's evening in Wellington, but it looks like it's going to be partly cloudy. They've had a few showers during the day on Saturday. Those showers are expected to clear by the time the game starts. The pitch should be dry, and there's been a strong southerly wind blowing all day in Wellington, which is predicted to ease by the time we get to game time. So conditions, cross fingers, should be good for this one and give no excuses to either the All Blacks or to Argentina. Now, in this video, I'm going to look at the two teams that have been selected to play, and then I'm going to give you my prediction on what I think is going to happen in this game. So let's get into it. And first of all, we're going to start off with the visitors, Argentina, the Los Pumas, coming to New Zealand on a bit of a high because they beat a French team in the second test of their series, and then they went on to thrash Uruguay by 79 points to 5. So their motivation level should be pretty high, and they also know that they've beaten the All Blacks in New Zealand before, and that will give them a little bit of self-belief as they go into this game. Start off and look at the Argentinian front row, and in the front row they've got Gallo, Ruiz and Bello, and three big boys, and they're going to have to bring all their might because they're up against a very strong New Zealand front row. But Argentinian forwards, they always turn up, don't they? And they always put in the effort, and I think we can expect nothing less in this particular game. Are we going to see some penalties from the scrums? That's going to be something we're going to keep our eye on. And of course, there's a lot of talk around the world of rugby at the moment about the way the scrums are being lawed and refereed as well. So we have to wait and see what happens in this game. And then moving on to the locks, and we've got Molina and Rubiello for Argentina, two big boys here, and this is going to be an interesting area because the Kiwis, of course, are looking for their right locking combination, and this Argentinian two will definitely give the Kiwis a bit of a test, I feel. And then we get into the back row for Argentina, and of course this is going to be one of the areas of the game I think that is going to be very, very competitively contested. And of course, getting to that breakdown, getting that early ball is going to be instrumental to help the A team to get on top in the game. So over the years, Argentina, of course, have had some very good loose forwards, and in this game is no exception. They're going to bring in Matera, Crema, and at the back in number 8, we've got Martin Gonzalez, who's going to be their number 8 in this game. So some very fast and very agile big boys at the back. And this is going to be another one of those distinctive areas that we need to watch out for in this game to see whether the Kiwi back row, we'll get to them soon in the video, can take it over the top of these boys. So that's the Argentinian starting pack. Let me know what you think of it. If you're from Argentina watching this video, is there anybody that you would have liked to seen in this team, in that starting pack? I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments. Now let's have a look at the Argentinian backline and see who Felipe Cantoponi has selected to play in the backs. And we'll start off at halfback, and it's that man Bertrand. A lot of experience. We've seen him on rugby grounds across the world, and it'll be interesting to see what his strategy is in this game. He's very good at the box kick, so watch out for that. A few question marks for me over him on defence, and we'll see whether the Argentinians get enough ball for him to be able to use it to distribute to his backlines. And when we're talking about the Argentinian backline at number 10, we've got Santiago Carreras, and of course what a fantastic player he is on his day. And if he turns up and he plays some of that magical rugby, then he can set any rugby field in the world on fire, and expect him to try and run at the inside backs of New Zealand, try to create opportunities for the Argentinian outside backs to perform. And when I talk about Argentinian outside backs, outside Carreras, we have Choco Barras, one of my favorite players in South America. This guy, he's very, very good, and not only on attacking but also in defense. So watch out for Choco Barras to have a big game for Argentina and really make a difference in that midfield. Outside of him, we've got Senti, and of course that pairing of Choco Barras and Senti, we're used to seeing those in the Argentinian team. Two very, very good players that seem to get a lot of energy off each other, and they have a very, very good combination going. One of the best, I think, in world rugby in terms of their consistency, and we'll see how they go in this particular game. And then moving out to the wings for Argentina, on one wing we have Moroni, and on the other wing we have Mateo Carreras. So very interesting to see this wing combination for me. There's a couple of other options that Argentina could have gone with, but we'll have to see how these guys go. It'll be interesting to see if Argentina are going to put the ball out wide and try and go around the outside of the All Black defence. And then at the back, we've got Cruz Malia, their fullback. And of course, we've seen him play in lots of games, both in Europe and also for Argentina. He's been very, very good at fullback, and suspect him to have a good game as well. Kicking is going to be a big part of this game, I think, in terms of strategic kicking. And it's going to be interesting to see whether Santiago Carreras is able to be consistent with his kick finding and actually put them in the right places for his team to be able to compete. And as I said, watch out for Bertrand as far as his box kicks go. This could be something that he deploys, particularly if there's a little bit of wind around in Wellington on the evening of the game. Okay, so that's the starting team for Argentina. Now let's have a look at their bench and see who's going to be coming on both in the forwards and at the backs. And in the forwards, we've got Creevy, and boy, what a guy to bring on, a 39-year-old. He's been playing international rugby for 20 years. Absolute legend of the game. Really like the guy. And of course, he brings a lot of leadership qualities into the team when he comes on at any stage throughout the game. So watch out for Creevy to have an impact for Argentina. And then the rest of the forwards include Vivas, Sclavi, Elias, Lavanini, and Oviedo. And Lavanini's one to watch when he comes off the bench, and it's going to be interesting to see how both benches impact this game. And Argentina will be looking at making sure they can keep 80 minutes of momentum going against the All Blacks. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on this bench to be able to perform and keep Argentina in the game if it is close as we go into the second half. And then when it comes to the two back reserves that are going to come on for Argentina, we've got Udez and Arbanoz. And interesting here, we're seeing a 6-2 split. So the Argentinians' version of the bomb squad is going to happen in this game, and it's going to be interesting to see what impact that has. Also, let's hope they don't get any back injuries in the first half. That could limit their ability to be able to go full throttle in this game, but we'll have to wait and see. That's one of the risks you take when you go for a 6-2 split. So there we go. That's the Argentinian team. Are they going to be good enough to beat the All Blacks at home in Wellington? I'll talk about that after we've had a look at the Kiwi team. So let's get on to the All Blacks now and have a look at who they've got starting this game. And we'll start off in the forwards. And in the front row, it's that, I guess, pretty reliable front row for the All Blacks. We've got Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor, and Tyrell Lomax in the front row. And as I said when I was talking about the Argentinians, this is going to be one of the big areas of the game. The All Blacks are going to want to get dominance up front, and these three guys with all their experience are going to be bringing it to this Argentinian pack. Then moving on to the locks for the All Blacks, and this is one of the positions where the All Blacks are trying out various options. Scott Barrett not available, of course, for these two tests against Argentina. So we're seeing Tupou Vai, and we're seeing Darry start here for the All Blacks, Sam Darry from Auckland. And this is going to be really good to see how these two go. Two big men. And one of the question marks over the All Blacks is, have they got the height and the strength and the power to compete with the top teams in world rugby when it comes to Ireland, South Africa, France and Australia? We'll have to wait and see when these guys turn out tomorrow on the field. And then moving on to the loosies, another position where Scott Robertson is playing around a little bit with his selections to try out. I think he's now considering that these two might be his starting loosies. And on one side, we've got Ethan Blackadder. On the other side, Dalton Papali'i. And then at number 8, we've got Adi Savia. So I mentioned it when I was talking about the Argentinians, that the back row is going to be a very vital and important part of this game. There were some things that these boys did well against Fiji. there was other areas that Razor Robertson talked about that they need to improve and get their consistency. But listening to Adi Savia during the week, he feels as though the All Black forwards are starting to understand a little bit more how Jason Ryan wants them to play and what kind of game they need to set up the platform for the back. So it'll be interesting to see whether they can execute that against Argentina in Wellington tomorrow night. We'll have to wait and see. And then moving into the back line, and this is where there was a few positions up for grabs because we had Stephen Perifetta announced with an injury, and that fullback position had to be covered. And after the games against England and Fiji, it was going to be interesting to see how Scott Robertson started off this campaign in the Rugby Championship with his backline. Would he stick to the trusted ones, or would he give it a little bit more experimental? I'm a little bit surprised with some of the choices in the backline, and I'll talk about that as we go. Starting off at halfback, we have TJ Perenara, and he's back from injury and very eager to get back into that number 9 jersey. Of course, Wellington is his home ground, so he's going to get a lot of support from the crowd in Wellington tomorrow night. But I would have put Cortez Ratama in there. I just think he's playing exceptionally good rugby. He reminds me so much of Aaron Smith in his younger days, and I think we're going to see Cortez Ratama throughout this game because he is on the bench for the All Blacks. But Perenara gets a start for the All Blacks at number 9. Damien McKenzie's been trusted with that number 10 jersey, and a lot of you have been telling me online that McKenzie needs to be given a go in that number 10 jersey. Well, he's got another go. We'll see how he goes against this Argentina team and see whether or not he's going to be facing up against any rush defense, because that's when it seems to be Damien McKenzie is under a lot of pressure. Okay, now let's talk about the centres for the All Blacks, because this has been another couple of positions that have been under the microscope a little bit. And we've seen really good performances, I think, from Anton Leonard-Brown, particularly against Fiji, and also Billy Proctor. I think he's done himself a lot of good chances to get in this All Black team on a consistent basis. But in this game, we're going to see Geordie Barrett back in at number 12, and we're going to see Anton Leonard-Brown out at number 13. So this is an interesting combination for me from Razor Robertson. I would have gone with Proctor at 13, particularly because this is Wellington and his home ground. And unless he's injured, which I don't know about, he would have been a shoo-in for me. But Anton Leonard-Brown did play very well against Fiji. I'll get him that. And we'll just see whether we're going to see Geordie Barrett do any creative stuff to get through the Argentinian backline. Because for me, this is where the All Black centres are not really playing at their optimal level at the moment, getting through the opposition backline. And then moving out to the wings, again, a couple of selections here that interest me. First of all, we've got Sevu Reece on one wing and Mark Talia on the other wing. And I think Caleb Clark had a very good game against Fiji. I would have probably put him to start. And however, we've got Talia and we've got Sevu Reece. And then moving on to the back, we've got Beauden Barrett starting at fullback this time. And that's because Stephen Perifetta is out with injury. But it's interesting to see what Beauden Barrett does from fullback, particularly with him and McKenzie starting the game. I think that's something that Razor Robertson wants to look at and see what impact these guys have right from the very beginning of the game. So there we go, that's the All Black 8 and the All Black backline to start the game. Again, put in the comments anybody that you feel should have been given a go in this game who was available, and I'd be interested to read your comments on that one. We're just having a massive tropical storm going through today, so bear with me if you hear a bit of rain on the roof above me. Now, looking at the All Blacks bench for this game, Razor Robertson is not having his 6-2 split. He's gone for a 5-3, and in the forwards we're going to see Amua, Tuanga Fasi, Newell, Lord and Wallace Satiti. So a fantastic bench, I feel, for the All Blacks. A lot of pace there, as well as a lot of height with Josh Lord. So it's going to be interesting to see what impact they have on the game. And Fletcher Newell, of course, an understated player for the All Blacks, I feel, on many occasions. He comes on and does always a fantastic job as a replacement in the front row. And then moving into the backs off the bench, we've got Cortez Ratama. So it's going to be interesting to see how long Perenara stays on the field. If he's not playing that well, or if the game's not going to the way that Robertson likes, will he pull Perenara off and put Ratama on early? We'll have to wait and see for that one. And then we've got Rieko Ioane, who's going to be starting off the bench today. I can't remember the last time I saw Ioane start off the bench. That's going to be an interesting one. And then the last player is Will Jordan. He's back, yes, and it's fantastic to see Will Jordan back in the All Black colours again. And boy, what a fantastic try scorer he is 33 tries scored in 31 tests for the All Blacks, and I'm sure he's going to get a go in the second half, hopefully, to come on and show his talents once again. I'm sure he's going to slot straight into this All Black team. So there we go, that's the All Blacks starting 15 as well as their bench. Let me know in the comments if you think there's any other players that are a little bit unlucky to miss out in this first game of round 1 against Argentina in Wellington. We've got a bit of Wellington weather here, folks. It's just bucketing down. I've had to move over here to try and stay a little bit drier. But let's get on and talk about the predictions for this game in Wellington tomorrow. Now, I see this game going one of two ways. The first way that it could go is it could be a very tight, close affair with the All Blacks not playing up to their potential. Argentina being inspired and motivated by beating the All Blacks in New Zealand before and coming out on top with a very close 1 or 2 point win. That's one way this game could go. And then the other way, which is more likely, I think, is the All Blacks are going to beat Argentina by about 30 points in this game. I just think they've got too much firepower, and it's going to come down to execution. If the All Blacks are going to be in that wonderfully open flowing game of rugby and they're able to play that rugby with not too many errors, then I think we're going to see them put on a lot of points against this Argentinian team. Now, a couple of things that could negate that particular outcome that I just spoke about, and that is the Argentinian forwards having a very, very good game and taking it to the All Blacks forwards. So if the All Blacks forwards struggle getting good, clean ball away for their backs to use, then it could become a very tight affair. And Argentina are very good at counter-attacking, so look out for that one. The other thing is discipline. If the All Blacks lose a player through a yellow card or even a red card, then it's going to put a lot of pressure on them, and they're not going to be able to play that kind of game that they would if they had 15 men on the field. So discipline will be a very big thing, and watch out for that throughout the game, particularly in the first 10 to 15 minutes when the All Blacks are trying to dominate the Argentinians. The All Blacks will be trying to get off to one of those very fast starts by scoring a couple of tries early in the game, putting Argentina on the back foot, and this happens quite often when these two teams play. And as a result of that, Argentina are always chasing the game, and when they start to throw the ball around, they make a couple of mistakes. The All Blacks are able to pounce on it and keep the scoreboard ticking over. That could possibly happen in this game as well. Now, this game's been played in Wellington, and the wind can always be a factor in this ground. So if there is a strong southerly blowing during the game, then kicking is going to be very important. So Damien McKenzie, Beauden Barrett for the All Blacks, they're going to have to be on song when it comes to their strategic kicking options. And this was an area I think Damien McKenzie has not been at his absolute best at yet, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in this game. On the other side, Santiago Carreras, he can be hot and cold with his general kicking, so he's going to have to be on point as well. And if they're going to use Choco Barras to do a bit of kicking, but I think it's more or less going to be either Bertrano with box kicks or Santiago Carreras with strategic kicks. Even 50-22s could be something they try to do to put pressure on the All Blacks and put them back into their 22, into their red zone, and see if they can build pressure through the forwards. And talking of forwards, I think this is a very big game for the All Blacks forward pack that's starting this game. There's a couple of players there that really need to prove themselves. I think the loose forwards of Blackadder and Papali'i are going to have big games just to confirm to Scott Robertson in his mind that he's made the right choice in having these grinders in the team, people that can really wind down the opposition, put them under a lot of pressure, and have got the energy to go full throttle for the whole game. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go. And then in the locks, of course, Sam Dowie coming in from Auckland. Great opportunity. Like this guy, I think he's a great young prospect for the All Blacks. Let's see how he goes against this very good Argentinian pack. And Tupou Vai, another big guy who's not getting probably some of the credit that he should. He gets another opportunity to start in this game. So the All Black locks, look out for them. Look out for their line-out consistency. That's going to be important in this game. Are the All Blacks going to be able to win the ball off the top, or are they going to have to go to other countermeasures, such as putting the ball long over the back of the line-out to the likes of Adi Savia and to Dalton Papali'i? We'll have to see how that works out. I think the All Black centre pairing is also under a bit of pressure in this game. As I mentioned, Geordie Barrett at number 12, Anton Leonard-Brown at 13. I think they need to have a big game. They need to show creativity. They need to show their ability to get over the gain line and create open spaces for Mark Talia and Sevu Reece, and also Beauden Barrett coming in from the fullback. And if they're able to do that, then there's going to be a lot more confidence in the All Blacks midfield. Rico Ioane sitting on the bench, so don't be surprised if he gets brought on if the plan is not working with both Geordie Barrett and Anton Leonard-Brown. And it's going to be interesting to see how Beauden Barrett goes from starting the game at fullback. That's something else I'm going to be watching out for. For the Argentinians, for me in this game, it comes down to one thing, and it comes down to their forwards' performance. If their forwards are able to compete with the All Blacks, then they're going to have some opportunity in this game. And when they do get the opportunity, they're going to have to perform and execute it. Otherwise, they're going to leave points on the board, or they're going to leave points on the table, and that's not going to be good enough against this All Black team. So as I said, my prediction for this game is it can go one of two ways. Argentina can win it in a nail-biter by 1 or 2 points if they can compete up front with the All Blacks. I don't see that happening though, and I think the All Blacks could run away with this by 30 points against this Argentinian team on the basis that they keep all 15 players on the field and they're able to execute their open play style that they want to play against this Argentina team. Now we've got two fantastic games of rugby kicking off this year's Rugby Championship this weekend. Australia versus South Africa from Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, Australia, and then over to Wellington, New Zealand for the All Blacks against Los Pumas. That's going to be very, very interesting. We've got two teams who are putting their perfect record in 2024 on the line this weekend in Australia and in New Zealand, so it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top of that one. Now don't forget, I'm going to be back after the games with a full in-depth review of the game, talk about the players that stood out for me, the strategies, and where the games were won and lost in my opinion. So make sure you stick around for that. The best way to do that, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, give this video one of those, and share it with all your rugby mates as well. I'd be very grateful if you're able to do that. Well, it's time for me to go and enjoy this beautiful rain we're having today in Cancun. You make sure you stay safe, stay well, enjoy the rugby across the weekend, and I'll see you all again very soon in the next video. Until then, it's time to say adios from beautiful wet Cancun in Mexico. Bye for now, everyone.